Hi, guys. It's Jaitni, your wellness coach. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this week's video, I talk about 5 tips that I have personally used to get through the challenging times in my life. These are personally used, they are tried and tested, and I've used them during the most traumatic phases of my life. So take what resonates with you. But what I want you to know is every time I've used these tips, I've walked away from that difficult situation or that traumatic event feeling stronger and wiser and in a position where I can heal faster and better. So I hope they make a difference to you. Whether you feel like you're constantly dealing with one calamity after another, or you feel like your plate is overflowing, whether you have a never-ending to-do list, or you're dealing with a major life crisis, whether it has to do with relationships or career or your finances or even your health or anything else for that matter, whatever it is, that chronic stress and that overwhelm that you experience because of these situations can really damage your overall health. That's your mental, emotional, and physical. It can leave you feeling depressed or anxious, or, even in a position where you just feel lost and uncertain. So, in order to stop that or minimize that, it really helps to have some robust ways to handle the challenges in your life. So, without further ado, let's get started. Tip number 1 is no matter what you're going through, always look at the bigger picture. Is there a greater purpose to this challenge? That is the question you want to ask yourself. When you're kind of deep in the trenches and you're dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with, it could be a breakup, it could be a loss of a job, or it could be the death of a loved one. These are all major situations that could completely throw you off. So whatever you're experiencing, you have to remember to look at the bigger picture. It's easy to have tunnel vision and to be really narrow and just look at what's in front of you. You have to move past that immediate pain, that immediate hurt, that immediate blockage. And you have to ask yourself, is there a greater purpose to whatever you're experiencing? And what is this event or this experience trying to teach you? What is the lesson that you need to capture and learn? Because when you answer these really tough questions, when you crack that nut and get to the bottom of it, and you find those truthful responses, you can walk away from this difficult situation in a position where you're able to heal a lot faster. You're also able to heal better and heal fully. So ask yourself the question, what is the bigger picture here? Tip number 2 is remember this affirmation. It's something that I tell myself very frequently, especially in the last couple of years when I have personally been through some major life changes. And I remind myself that this is not happening to you, but it's happening for you. When you're going through that trauma, when you're going through that difficult situation, it's so easy to feel like a victim. It's easy to think, why is this happening to me? Or why does this always happen to me? You have to stop that train of thought. Instead, you have to turn it around and remind yourself it's not happening to you, but it's happening for you. And the reason you do this is when you start to talk to yourself that way, you tap into that undying faith that you have, that there is something bigger and better out there for you. That yes, in the moment, this sucks, it's uncomfortable, you don't want to feel whatever you're feeling, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are doors that will be opened for you. You just need to be patient, take the lessons that you need to learn, and then move past this. Tip number 3 is look back, go into your past and identify all those events where you showed how capable you were, how courageous you were, and you overcame some really difficult circumstances. Remember that you've done hard things. You have to remember how capable you are. You have to remember how brave you are, because when you look at that past as your evidence, you realize that you have it in you to also get through the present and get into the future. So whatever you've been through, you can continue going through what you need to go through to get to where you need to be. So look back to know that you are capable of getting out of these tough times. Tip number 4 is ask yourself, how much of an impact is this event or this experience or this situation really going to have on your life in the short term and the long term? I ask myself this question often because it's something minor, if it's an argument with a spouse or if I'm having a tiff with my mom, it's really not going to matter in 5 years, 5 weeks, even 5 days. So that is something that I want to just nip it in the bud and move past it. We carry enough baggage. We don't need to accumulate anymore. But if there's something big that you're going through, that could be a divorce or a failed IVF or losing a parent or becoming an empty nester overnight, those are major life changes. They will have a long-term impact. And the reason you want to ask yourself this question is to prepare yourself, because if it is something that's in the long run, that is long-term, you need to be ready to put in the energy and the time and the effort to heal yourself and to get through this challenge. You have to have that mental preparation as well as emotional preparation. And also to determine how long you want to carry this experience with you. How long do you want to continue dealing with the loss of that parent before you learn to deal with it, before you learn to cope with it and you're able to heal? So that's why this question is really important. It mentally and emotionally prepares you to deal with the challenge at hand. Tip number 5 is remind yourself that giving up is not an option, but asking for help is. So yes, the situation is going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. It's going to be overwhelming, but giving up is just not an option. However, it is totally acceptable and even encouraged to lean on other people and other resources that can help you get through this difficult time faster and better. So whether it's professional help that you seek or it's the help of loved ones, whether it's input, advice, learning from their experiences, whatever it is okay to reach out and ask for help. You don't need to do this all on your own, but giving up is not an option. So just to wrap up the 5 tips, 1 is always look at the bigger picture. What lesson is this event trying to teach you? Tip number 2 is remember it's not happening to you, but it's happening for you. Tip number 3 is remember that you've done hard things. You're capable of doing hard things. So this is no different. Tip number 4 is ask yourself, how much of an impact is this difficult situation going to have on your life in the short term and in the long term? And then tip number 5 is reminding yourself that giving up is not an option, but asking for help is. So I hope you got something out of this. As I said, these are tips that I've used. These are my coping tools, when things fall apart and I really feel like I don't know how I'm going to climb out of this black hole. But I've been able to do it. I continue doing it because these are 5 elements that I always remember and I always hold on to help me get through the tough times. So I hope they do the same for you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you want to learn more about what I do and how I help my clients and their well-being, please check out my website. It's www.imperfectbodies.com. Imperfect bodies is one word. I hope you have a marvelous week and I will catch you here next week. Thanks so much.